Here we are, we made it to the Rio. Today is the $5,000 tournament, but first, we're having a book signing. For those familiar with the Rio, there's a humongous line. I have no clue what the line is for. We're a long way from the casino registration. Who knows what they're doing? The World Series of Poker is hectic. Make sure you buy it online. Don't wait in line. And if you are going to wait in line, make sure you spend your time wisely. Listen to podcasts, read books, make friends. Don't just sit there and be angry, because if you're angry when you show up to the poker table, it's not going to work out so well. So anyway, let's go sign some books and then gamble. Talk to me about poker. What's going on today?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what big games do you list?
The biggest hand I played so far was on the big blind, and I had 4-6, and it was checked around to me, 3 limpers, and the flop came 4-4-6. And 2 bets, I call. The turn was an ace. I check, bet, raise. I just call, and river. I don't know what the river was, but bet, and I went over the top, and I won 68,000 at one hand. And we start with 60,000.
They called him on the river.
They called me on the river. And I had ace king, so he had 2 pair. Top pair, he had aces and 4s, and a king kicker, and I had 4-7. That's pretty good.
Very nice. Busted on the last hand of the day, very last hand of the day. I had top sets. My opponent turned a straight in a spot where he should not have a whole lot of straights. But I'm out, that's okay. We will now relax and then play the main event in a few days. Today is an off day. It's always important before the main event. Enjoy yourself, have a little bit of a party, don't lose your mind, but make the most of your experience. I'm gonna actually have 2 off days. One day to hang out and play, one day to recover, and then on the 4th of July, it's main event day.
Ranked second on the all-time WSOP money list with more than $17 million in earnings. He also sits in the top 10 all-time in both cashes and victories at the WSOP. Please welcome to the stage to get play started today, the one, the only, Daniel Negreanu.
Today is the World Series of Poker main event. We're currently 2 hours into the, no, 2 levels into the day, 4 hours. My table is great. I'm getting to play lots of pots. I have not made too many good hands, but I'm winning lots of pots. But yeah, it's going well. We have 85,000 chips from a 60,000 start, which is good. We're going to 200, 400, so I have a nice 200 big blinds. That's plenty. This tournament is so slow, so there's no need to be impatient. The goal is to sit there, behave, and collect the punts. There's so many people here. We made day 2 of the World Series of Poker main event, so that is great. It was an interesting day. I started off great, Everything was smooth sailing. I was winning lots of small pots. Then, in the middle of the day, I got a little bit unlucky. I had a spot where someone went all in, 17 big blinds. I called with aces. You should never re-raise here. Small blind called. Small blind did some weird stuff. Flop comes king, 3-2. So I'm like, loving this. There's a chance small blind has kings. In case he does, maybe we check. If he has ace king, I'm going to win a big pot anyway. So it goes check, check, turns a 9. Small blind now bets. He bet 5,000 into a 23,000 pot. I obviously call. River was a queen, and now he bets 10,000. I'm like, ugh. He could obviously have kings or queens, right? Not so worried about 9s, because 9 should fold pre-flop. But anyway, he had 9s. So I lost that hand. That put me back down to about a starting stack. Then I lost another one where I had queen of hearts, queen of spades. Board I raised, big blind called it, game, I think 10, 7, 6. No, 10, 8, 7, 2 hearts. The opponent led into me. I called. River was a 5 of hearts. Now I have overcard and flush draw. He bet. I called. River was an 8, something like that. And it went check, check, and he had 7, 5 of spades. So he was just like almost dead on the flop. But he got the 5 to get there. And I did not get any of the 2 pairs, or the queen, or the hearts to get there. So that put me down to like 40K. Then from there, grinded up a little bit. What happened? 2 more hands, yeah. So, someone raised under the gun. Small, men raised, a good player. I decided to call the button with ace-8 of diamonds. Small blind, same guy from earlier, with the pocket 9s called. It came 8, queen 8, 3, something like that. Queen 8, 3, 2 clubs. Small blind checked. Initial raiser bet small again, like 2 big blinds again. So I call, of course. I have a backdoor flush draw, so middle pair backdoor flush draw. Small blind made it 6,000, so it went 1,500, call 6,000. Initial raiser folded, and then I decided to call. My opponent had about 35K left, and he was the type of player where if the board got scary, I think I could get him to fold something like a queen. And also if an ace or an 8 comes, obviously that's going to be great most of the time, because then I only lose to pocket 2s realistically. So I thought there were lots of ways for this to go well. And I had to put in 4,500 to a pot that would be, what, I don't even know. Call it 20K, 24K, something like that. So we're gonna call. Turn was an 8. Give it to me. My opponent instantly went all in. I'm like, well, hopefully he doesn't have a set. And he had ace queen, so that was lucky. Got a lucky turn to get bailed out there. And then we had one more hand. Oh, a fun one. I raised a European kid, the same guy was 7-5 from earlier. I raised king of hearts, jack of diamonds from middle position. He called big blind. It came queen jack 5. Queen jack 5, that sounds right. He checked, I bet small. He called. Turn was an 8 of hearts, putting up back 3 hearts. No. Yeah, putting up 2 hearts. Brought in backdoor flush draw. He checked. I decided to bet small again, which is a little bit dicey. He seemed to be rather call-y. We were battling a little bit. So I think we can get a value bet in there. He called. River was, I'm sure I'm butchering this. There was 4 to straight and 3 to flush on the board. It was queen, by the river, it was queen jack, 8, 5, 9. Queen jack, 8, 5, 9. So king jack was a straight, and there was a backdoor flush there with the hearts. So I had the king of heart blocker. It blocks the nut straight, it blocks the flush. My opponent led into me for 7,500, a pretty big bet. It's probably a 3-4 spot. And everything in my body was telling me, make it 30K. So what do? We make it 30K. And he thought for about 5 minutes and then folded. And that was the end of the day. We ended the day with 110,000. Today is a quote-unquote off day. I'm having an all-day business meeting with my team members who help me put together all the great content I make for all of you. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're also having a breakfast for, I don't know how many of my students, maybe 40 of them, at Hash House at GoGo, which is always a lot of fun. So that's today. And then tomorrow, we're back in the action.
Repeat to save the summer.
We're here at the company retreat. There's another earthquake going on right now. Look at the chandelier.
This one's going for a while.
This is a big earthquake. Here's my team. We're having a company dinner.
Still going.
Holy crap.
We got a problem. I'm not worried. I grew up in California my whole life.
Here's my other team member. Look at Dan. There's Evan Jarvis. Evan, how do you feel right now?
Not the best. It's okay.
I mean, it doesn't help that we're 53-4 or something.
Woo! Here we are at the start of day 2. With any luck, we'll find ourselves at a feature table.
Good.
We will see.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Here's some of our opponents. Brian Rast is right here. That'll be fun. We are doing an interview for ESPN. They asked me some questions. Here's the team. Say hello. It was fun. You're at the feature table of day 2 of the main event. We have Brian Rast on my right. So far, I've won every pot off of him. That's lucky. I've had a lot of good hands. I did lose with Ace King once when I made top pair, top kicker. But beyond that, the day is going about as perfectly as it could. I have about 175K. Average is probably 90. But none of that really matters. We're going to gamble now. We're currently on dinner break in day 2 of the main event. The day's been turbulent. So I started with 110,000. I got up to about 240,000 at my peak. I don't really remember how I got my chips. I did run a pretty optimistic bluff. It was a fun one. Very loose, splashy guy I'm trying to play every pot with. He limped under the gun. Good, tight, aggressive kid in second position made it 3,200. I think we're playing 400, 800. No, we're playing 500 to 1,000. Folds around to me and the small blind with King Jack of Hearts. I call. Big blind calls. Initial guy calls. Flop comes Queen 9 4 2 hearts. No, Queen 9 3. Queen 9 3. I'm the worst with hand histories. Queen 9 3 2 diamonds 1 heart. I have King Jack of Hearts. All right, I check. Big blind checks. Under the gun checks. Initial razor bets 4,000 into the 13,000 pot. So I have a gut shot, an overcard, a backdoor flush draw. I could look and tell one of the players he attacked was just done with it. He was folding. So I decided to make it 13,000. With the idea that, you know, we have lots of equity if we peel the 10. Also, overcard's probably good. And if diamonds come, we can also bluff, right? And if backdoor hearts come, clearly that's great. So anyway, my opponent thought for forever and then called. Turn was a 5, just an offsuit brick 5. I decided to bet 13,000 again. This is where it got weird because my opponent only had 50,000 behind. I don't know if I should have ran this bluff if my opponent has 50,000 behind. And with 50,000 behind, I don't want to jam because if I jam, it's a little bit big in my opponent. If he has top pair, he's just always calling. And if I bet 13,000 as well, yes, I'm going to get called by every draw, but it's okay because I'll be able to make a lot of the busted draws fold on the river if he has them. I think I would also like to bet 9s and 3s this way if I had them. I don't know if I would actually do that, though. It's kind of weird, right? If I had Queen 9, I would definitely just jam because my opponent has plenty of equity with whatever he has. So anyway, I bet 13K. He called pretty quickly. River is a queen. It's not really what I want to see because he could have a queen. But he could also just have aces, kings, jacks, 10s. He could have like ace 9. And he could also have draws, right? He could have busted flush draws. He could have perhaps, king 10 or jack 10, but I beat those. But if I check, he's going to jam, and then I fold, right? So I jammed. He thought for forever and then folded what he claims was king, queen of clubs for rivered trips. He must have thought I was the weakest, tightest knit in the whole world. But that was good because that left him 35K. And if I would have lost that hand, it would have been down to like 80 or something like that. Instead, I got up pretty high. But yeah, since then, I've been trying to play the pots with 2 guys. One of those guys just busted. Not to me, I didn't win a chip off of him. And the other one has a lot of chips. But he's kind of in position against me, which is a bit of a bummer because if the guy's position on you, it's not really where you want to be. So we're going to go back. We're going to play a few more hours today. And with any luck, we will make it through. The first break of day 3 of the World Series of Poker main event. It's a chip color up break, so they're taking off all the 100 value chips, which is going to take at least 30 minutes. So I figured I'd update you on how it's going. We have 215,000. Average is probably, I don't know, 130, 140, 150, something like that. And so far the day's going well enough. I'm at a table where the opponents are pretty active, pretty splashy, and when that's the case, you often just have to make hands. I did make one hand. It was kind of fun. I raised on the button to 7,000. We're playing a 2,400 big blind. With ace-6 offsuit, the guy in the big blind instantly made it 10,500. You all know that's not a legal raise. So what is going on when people make a misclick min raise? Usually, either they're trying to be shady and trying to make you think they don't have a weak hand, or trying to make you think they have a weak hand but not a strong hand, or they're so excited to the point that they can't even put their chips in right, which means usually they have the nuts either way. So how does ace-6 fare against the nuts? Well, not very good, right? Because if our opponent has aces, I'm screwed. Kings, queens, But I have to put in, 4,600 chips into a pot that's going to be about 24,000 or something like that. So I call. Some people may think, well, your hand's so bad you want to bluff here with it, but I don't want to bluff. My opponent just has a good hand. So it came 9-6-6, 2 spades. I have no spades, but I have 3 sixes, which is good enough. My opponent checks, which is kind of a bummer. I thought maybe he had ace-king here. Maybe he just did have queen-jack offsuit and screwed up. Whatever. So I decided to bet small. I bet 7,000 into the 24,000 pot, which looking back, I think I should have gone a little bit larger. Because if I go a little bit larger on the flop and my opponent calls, then I can bet bigger on the turn and bigger on the river and just win a bigger pot. So I think I probably should have bet something like 9,000. My opponent called pretty quickly, and once he called pretty quickly, I'm like, all right. He has the overpair. Don't know which one, but he has an overpair, which is great. Turn is a jack, so now I lose to jacks, but that's not a big deal. My opponent checked. I bet 18,000. He instantly called. Again, I maybe should have gone a little bit bigger. I was really just worried he had random overcards would fold, like ace-king, which would be a bummer, but he's probably going to fold to any bet here with ace-king, so I probably just want to bet like 26,000. That way I can bet 75 on the river. But anyway, he called quickly, so now I just know I'm betting big on the river. The river was a 7, so 10-8 gets there, but he doesn't have 10-8. He could have pocket 7s, he could have pocket jacks. He checked that I bet 52,000 into whatever it was. It's like 3-4 spot, and he instantly called. So clearly he had aces, kings, or queens. And that was nice. That was like the only pot I won. That put me up to about 200. From there I won a few more little pots. But that's where we are. Moral of the story, don't get fancy and tricky with your big hands. And when you do have your big hands, don't get overly excited. Because if you get overly excited, you put in the wrong amount, you force your opponent to see a flop. And you have to realize, whenever you give your opponent like 4 or 5 or 6 to 1 pot odds, they're not really messing up calling when they're in position. And yeah, don't do that. Fortunately, all the players at my table are using very small bet sizes, which is great because it just lets you see flops, turns, rivers, and when you see a lot of flops, turns, and rivers, good things randomly happen. So hopefully they keep that up, and I will continue making them put in more money than they should with their marginal stuff, and it seems like they are doing that, so that's good. Every time they call raises that are slightly bigger than they are making with a marginal range, they're just giving you small amounts of equity. And I will take small amounts of equity all day. So they busted me in the main event. What a bummer. I had a really rough hand where someone raised early position. I 3-bet him with the king-queen offsuit. Flop came 8-4-2. No, 8-4-3. He checked. I bluffed 20K. He called. Turn was another 3. He checked. I bluffed 40K. He called. River was a king, giving me top pair. He checked. I value bet 78,000. He thought for a little bit and then went all in for 100,000 more. What a bummer, huh? So that's the spot where in my mind, like his only jam should be pocket kings, which I blocked, pocket threes, where there's one combination, and maybe pocket eights, 3 combinations, 5 combinations of hands. So it's not very many combinations, but at the same time, like, what are his bluffs really? I mean, it'd be pretty strong to bluff there, giving me 3-1 pot odds. So anyway, I folded, and it feels dirty, but it's probably just right. If he bluffed me, good job. That's what cost me the main event. Anyway, after that, I was down to about 100K. Lost every hand. There was one pretty sweet spot where someone raised middle position. Someone called. I called big blind. With King 5 suited, it came King 8-3. I checked, initial raise or bet, and the caller called, and I just folded. And turns out one of them had a better king, so that was nice. We dodged a little bullet there for our 25 big blind stack. On another hand, I had a flush draw. Managed to miss that as well. That put me down to about 12 big blinds. We got pocket kings. Our opponent had the ace queen, and you know how that goes. So pretty bad run in the main event today, and I guess the end of yesterday when I had the kings against the aces. But it is what it is. People always say this is like the worst day of the year when you bust the main event, and you know, it's kind of true. But at the same time, life goes on, and we will survive. So for the rest of the summer, we have a few more tournaments. I know there's a PLO tournament tomorrow. There's a 3,000 no limit tomorrow. There's still a 10K 6-handed no limit if it looks good, and a bunch of other stuff. So the summer's not over yet, and we're going to keep on grinding.